Okay, today I'm going to make a short videos about the combinations of two transformation. This is always coming out in SPM modern math, and which is the paper 2, the last section, right? So it's about 12 mark question, and yeah, a lot of students actually couldn't understand this part very well. So I decided to make a short one with a few example. I hope this few example actually can help you a little bit on how to solve the two combination of the transformation. Alright, so yeah, you will see some questions similar like this. The question actually says the triangle WYQ is the image of the triangle PQR. That means WYQ, W, Y, and Q, this one, the big triangle, basically is the image of the triangle PQR. Basically, this big triangle is the image of this small triangle. That means this is object, this is image. Okay, under combined transformation of A and B. So what this question trying to say is, after transformation A and B, the PQR actually become WYQ. So this small triangle actually will become like this. Alright, and then the question always will ask you, describe in the full the transformation A and B. Alright, so in order to understand this one, let me explain a little bit before we move on. Okay, so let me just put another paper here. Okay, in order to do that, you will need to understand whenever you have the combined transformation, let's say you have A and B. So let's say we have two transformation A and B here. So if you have A and B here, so this is two different transformation. So basically for transformation, I didn't have an S here. So we have four different transformation in math. We have translation. We have translation, which is moving, is the most easier one, moving in the X and Y. And then we have reflection. We have reflection. Normally it will be reflection in a line. Some line or something like Y equals to X. It can reflect on any line. Okay, then we have rotation. Rotation. And then the last one we have enlargement. Enlargement. Okay. Okay, so whenever you want to describe fully, for rotation, you must mention it is rotation. And then you have to mention rotation how many degree. It can be 90 degree or 180 degree. And then it can be clockwise or anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise. And then the last but not least, you have to mention about the center point at some center point here. Center point maybe 0, 0. So for rotation, you have to make sure you actually mention about the angle it rotate, and the direction is either clockwise or anti-clockwise at what center point. Okay, this is just a short form. You can write the full form, and then you can write the coordinate. Sometimes you can write the center point A, B, or C if you see the coordinate A, B, and C in the diagram. So make sure you have all this information if you want to describe in full. The reflection described in full is just like this. Same thing to the translation. Translation is you want to describe in full, you just write translation equals to, of course not X and Y, it has to depend on the questions. Alright, for enlargement, you will also need to have, first you have to have the skew factor. So you will need to have the skew factor. So if you have the skew factor, you must very be careful. Whenever you have 2, actually mean the subject is enlarged. Okay, if you have -2, still means the subject actually it become bigger, but just opposite direction. How about if the subject becomes smaller? If the subject becomes smaller, your skew factor will be something like 1/2, 1/3, 1/4. Okay, because in this topic, even the subject becomes smaller, they still call it enlargement. But then you will have the value, the skew factor should be between 0 and 1. Okay, so for enlargement, you must mention what is the skew factor, and the same thing, you must mention about the center point. Okay, center point at maybe 0, 0, or maybe 1, 1. It can be any point. So this is how to describe in full. Okay, anyways, we come back to this one, the combined transformation. So for combined transformation, whenever you have A and B, you have two different transformations. This A and B can be repeat any of these, or can be different. It can be reflection, enlargement, rotation, reflection. It can be mixed. So something very important for this topic is, if you have A, B, you have to understand you always perform the behind one, A and B, right? You always perform this one first, then you perform this one next. So this B will be your first transformation, then A will be your next transformation. So for example, if you have X and Y, this one is a transformation. So you always perform Y first, then only you perform X. So this one will be your next. If you have C and D, you always perform this term first. So you always perform D first, then only you will perform C. Okay, so you have to understand the idea of combined transformation. Okay, so if you have A, B, make sure you will perform the second one. Normally we like 1, 2, right? You will perform the 2 first, then only you will perform the 1. Alright, this is just some idea on how to do combined transformation. Okay, so let's come back to the question again. Okay, so if this question, let me move it a bit. Okay, so you have this question. Okay, this question, obviously you can see the triangle. Basically the triangle rotate 180 degrees to become this triangle, and then from here you can see that the small triangle actually enlarge to become the big triangle. So you must be able to see that. So this one is a rotation 180 degree, and then this one will be enlargement. Okay, of course for the rotation you will need to find the center point, and then for the enlargement you will need to find the center point as well. But for the enlargement of the center point in this kind of case is very easy. So if you see all of them will have one point, the image and the object, they will share the same coordinate. That one is the center point. In this case, you see this triangle. Oops. In this case, you see this big triangle and this small triangle. They will share the same coordinate at y, so the enlargement, the coordinate will be y. Alright, but for the rotation, if you want to find the center point, is quite hard. It's not as easier as what you think. But for 180, actually it's quite easy. Because if rotation 180, what you can do is you can just connect the point to the point, and you will find you have one coordinate which will intersect two lines. That one, it will be your center point. So wait for a while, let me take the ruler. Okay, so example, in this case, you have to understand PQR actually is the same with your X, Y, Z. So your P basically is your X, and your Q basically is your Y, and your Z actually is your R. So I will have a look on the Y and Q first, because it's the easiest one. Okay, how many units they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Because this is a straight line, so I can roughly guess where's the center point. If 12, I divide half, it will be 6 units. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I predict the center point will be here. Okay. However, in order to prove me correct, I'm going to use the ruler to connect coordinate X to coordinate P. And you will find out that when I connect coordinate X to P, same thing, I passing through this point. If I connect Y to Q and I connect X to P, both of the straight line actually passing through this coordinate, which we call it, this coordinate will be 13, 14. So this one, 13, 14, it will be the center point of these two triangles. Alright, so okay, so if the question asks you to describe in full the transformation A and B, so obviously we know the B basically is the rotation, and A basically is the enlargement. So what I will do is I will actually list it down. So for B over here, I will actually write like this. B is rotation. Oops, sorry. What am I writing? I mean rotation 180 degree. Okay, for 180 degree, you no need to mention clockwise and anti-clockwise because it's the same. Okay, if you want to write, I think it doesn't matter, but then normally I won't write. So I write B is a rotation 180 degree at the center. What is the center point here? The center point will be 13, 14. 13, 14. And then I will go into the A. So A is, so first, we know basically they perform the B first, isn't it? B is a rotation. So after this triangle rotate become XYZ already, and then basically this XYZ enlarge to become W, Y, and Q. So I know it's enlargement. Okay, and then I know the center point at Y because these two triangles basically they share the one common triangle, one common coordinate, which is Y. So how do I actually find the enlargement, the skew factor of the enlargement? Is very simple. First, in order to get the skew factor, actually it have sort of formula. So in order to get the skew factor, it's actually, you can say it's the length of image, means the image divided by the length of object. Or you can call it ratio, not necessarily length. So in this case, in order to get my skew factor, so what I will do is, I will calculate the length from the center point. Let's say, I calculate from Y to Q. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the skew factor from Y to Q, which is the image, the length of the image, do you see that? It will be 12 units. And then my length of object, which is this one, is basically 1, 2, and 3. So just now, that one, it will be 12. Okay, over 3. So basically, the skew factor is 4. Alright, this is how we see the skew factor. And you will find it very makes sense. For example, let's say center point at Y here, from center point to X is basically something like I move to my left hand side 1 unit and move down 2 units. If -1, -2, if this is translation -1 and -2, if the skew factor is 4, what happens is you multiply 4 into both of these one, you will get -4 and -8. So that means from the center point to W, I should move 4 units here and then move 8 units come down. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exactly. So obviously my skew factor is 4 and the center point at Y. So if I want to write the describe in full, I will say A is enlargement. A is enlargement with skew factor 4 at the center Y. You can say the center is Y, or you can actually say the coordinate at the center. Yeah, you just mentioned the coordinate of Y. So the coordinate of Y, it will be 7, 14. So you can say at the center 7, 14. Then you will get, I think it's 2 marks for each. in the real SPM exam. Alright, so this is how we understand about the combined transformation. Okay, then the next thing, after we solve the part 1, we have to go to the part 2. Part 2, the question says, find the area of the shaded region of the triangle P. Find the area of the shaded region if triangle PQR is 30. That means I know this area is 30. So that means this is identical with this one. They just rotate from PQR into XYZ. So here will be 30 as well. So in order to get the shaded region, we have to able to find the area of image. Then we minus the area of object. Then I can get the shaded region. So over here, you will learn about new formula for area of enlargement. So in order to find the area of image after enlargement, definitely, okay, there's a formula. I'm going to call it area of image equals to k square multiply area of object. K over here basically is a skew factor. So in order to find the area of image, you just square the skew factor and then you multiply the area of object. So in this case, the question gives me the area of object, which is 30 centimeters square. And then I got my skew factor, which is 4. I got my skew factor just now. So in order to get my area of image, so I'm going to do 4 square multiply with 30 cm square. 4 square basically is 16. 16 times 30, I think is 480 cm square. This is how I find the area of image. So it's k square multiply the area of objects. Then in order to get the shaded region, we have to use the area of image, which is 480 just now, minus the area of object, which is 30. So I'm going to say the shaded region equals to 480, which is area of image, minus area of object, which is 30 centimeters square. So your shaded region will be 450 centimeters square. Okay, this is how we find the shaded region. Because a lot of students, they will make the common mistake in this kind of question is, the student actually know the skew factor is 4. Then the student just use 4 multiply the 30, and then they get 120 minus 30. But then you got wrong, because you forget to square the skew factor in order to make this kind of question correct. Right, so I will give few more example in the next video. So for this video, I'm going to end here because it's quite long already, almost 18 minutes. Okay, anyways, please stay tuned for more video. Thanks for watching.